Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Progressive Vibe. I'm your host, Dottie here. Today is March 14th, 2021. This is season 3, episode 9, and the title of this podcast, Why the American Rescue Plan is Crucial and What It Means Going Forward. So I'm just going to give some of my thoughts to why the American Rescue Plan, known as the COVID relief bill, is a pretty big deal, and what impact it has specifically to the low-income community and mid-class community. But before we get into today's episode, I wanted to ask how everyone's doing out there, which I'm going to answer my whole question here. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone had a good week and a good weekend. My week was pretty good. Just laid back and laid low. And usually if you come to find out, guys, the more you listen to the show, my week and my weekend involves of the same thing. I'm kind of a grandpa. I'm not even gonna lie. But I like being a grandpa. You know, I like my I like my old school routines of waking up, getting my coffee, digesting my fair share of news, and going to work. But maybe, I don't know, maybe if I'm a grandpa, maybe I don't envision myself going to work every day. Maybe I envision myself drinking coffee, reading the newspaper, or whatever I'm doing, not at work. Maybe retired, but that's a long way away. But I don't really, I don't know. I don't really partake in the whole going to the bars and all the time. It's just, I don't know. That's you guys, some of my listeners out there might be, I'm not against going to the bars and stuff like that. I live in Alabama and I live right down the road from a very, very popular beach. So it's definitely beach life out here. And again, I do a little bit when it comes to the beach and the bars, but I can't do the all-nighters anymore. I ain't young like I used to. I'm sorry. I don't know. And asking some of my friends also, they'll be like, yeah, Dottie, he's a old guy in a young guy's body, and that's kind of how I've always been. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was just raised the old school way and by older people. So, but anyway, that's a whole nother podcast for another day, folks. Let's get back into it. Today's plugins: Anchor FM. Voice messages. No matter where you listen, even if you don't have the Anchor app, you can send me audio messages. Letting me know how I'm performing would be helpful. If you have any general questions or thoughts concerning the show at hand, that will also be helpful. I will include your voice messages in the podcast episodes. Also, I will have the voice message link attached to this episode if you'd like to check out more of that. And the last quick plugin, WWF, World Wildlife Fund. So WWF Travel, in their e-newsletter, they feature exciting opportunities to observe wildlife in the natural habitat and visit WWF's Worldwide Precious Places. Together with Natural Habitat Adventures, WWF is pioneering conservation travel so that your trip helps protect the future of nature. So if you guys want to know more about WWF travel, I will attach the link to this episode. So again, that's WWF travel. Yeah, guys. So, on that note, let's get into today's episode. Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. So, I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on the American Rescue Plan, again, known as the COVID relief bill. It got passed on Thursday. Um, so the bill got signed into law on Thursday. Biden addressed the nation about the state of the country a year long, um, since the pandemic had begun. I can't remember if he addressed the nation on Wednesday or Thursday, but it was about 20 minutes long, and he was just talking about how we're at war, with the virus, and we need to unify, and you know he talked about empathy, and pretty much the same. I'm not trying to like shoot Biden down or anything like that, but metaphorically speaking, um, but it was the same old stuff that he usually comes out and says when he's addressing the nation, if you will. Like the stuff, it was pretty much it just sounded like the same stuff that he was talking about when he was running for president. Which, not saying it's a bad thing or anything like that, but you guys kind of already know if you listen to some of my previous episodes that I'm just kind of just tired of the whole like empathy and bipartisanship and unify and all that. Well, maybe not empathy, but definitely the whole unify and the bipartisanship and all that. I don't know. It's just it can be used really, really loosely, and I don't. I'm all about unifying and bipartisanship. Don't get me wrong. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm against that, but what are we talking about here? We're talking about getting money into the hands of people who really, really desperately needs the money. And if you're having the opposition party, that is not trying to unify, but are trying to delay the vote by calling up useful, not useful, unuseful dialogue on the floor just to to prolong the vote. Um, I just don't think that you can unify with something like that. You should see that the country as a whole, Democrat and Republican, agrees on receiving more relief money. That's the unity that you, to me, should look at. And you should be signaling to the Republican constituents out there that it was 49 Republican senators, which means all of them voted against giving you more relief aid. That's what should be said more so than always trying to cope and rub the head of the opposition party. I'm going to keep on hammering this point home. It was the reason why the American people gave the Democrats all three branches of power. It's just that simple. But what we cannot do is think that this is going to be the last type of legislation for the that that's going to positively impact the American people directly for the last time. That's just not how it's going to happen. But if you listen to a lot of moderate Democrats out there, um, they are leaning towards the whole this is the last aid money that we're going to send out because the pandemic is quote unquote almost over, or their stance on not fighting for the $15 minimum wage, which should have been included in the American Rescue Plan. That was a huge miss. And 2022 is right around the corner. And Republican primaries are or the midterms are right around the corner. And if the Democrats want to try to hold any power for the next 2 years in all three branches of government, then they're gonna have to stop with this whole to me petty talk and start actually using their power to um, put forth the things that the American people want for them to put forth that is vastly popular. And that's numerous things. It's just I fear that the Democrats are governing like it's 1994 and it's 2021. I don't know, the ball's in their court. But I wanted to read you guys some of the things that I thought were a pretty big deal uh in this bill. And again, it seems like this bill helps low income and middle class people and families, which is a good thing. So let me get right into this. This plan includes funds for unemployment, COVID-19 vaccine distribution, and education loss experienced during the pandemic. Um, of course, this plan or this bill included stimulus check of $1,400. Every American making less than $80,000 a year will receive a $1,400 check. Every family making up to $150,000 would be eligible for the full amount as well. So if you're a family making below $150,000 a year, you'll be able to receive this $1,400 check. Also, dependents will receive $1,400 checks. So that means $1,400 for each parent and child. And of course, that means depending on how much you make as an individual or family, the amount of relief money an individual or family would receive uh, would phase out. So if you're making more than the number that I gave, then it will start to phase out. You would, eventually, if you make, I don't know, if you make $100,000 a year as an individual, you probably won't qualify for the check. Just to give an example, unemployment benefits. The bill increased federal unemployment benefits through Labor Day. So that's about a 6-month extension. The payment will remain $300 per week of employment. According to the Labor Department, excuse me, more than 10 million Americans were unemployed as of mid-February. So, I mean, 10 million people last month, possibly more, unfortunately lost their job. So that's a good thing that the unemployment benefits are extended at least until Labor Day. Expanded tax credits for families. Under this provision, most Americans will receive $3,000 a year uh, for each child ages 6 to 17, and $3,600 for each child under the age of 6. So that is a really, really, to me, great things that one of the great things that is in this bill, because it helps, you know, moms, pops out with the expenses of of kids. I mean, it's just a fact. We all know, even if you don't have a child, I'm sure you have a sibling or a niece or some sort. Kids ain't cheap. So that's awesome that this provision was given to most American families. $725 billion in new funds for small businesses. We know how much small businesses have suffered during this pandemic. Additional provisions in this legislation will offer support for specific industries that suffered loss during the pandemic, such as restaurants and bars. A portion of $350 billion is being allocated for local governments to be used for education purposes, which is awesome. If anybody wanted to know about the situation evolving around the education plan, the plan requires states to reserve a portion of funds to address education loss by doing things like increasing summer learning, extending school years, and expanding after school programs. Um, Funding for vaccine distribution slash COVID-19 testing. So about $7.5 billion will be allocated to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It will go towards distributing and administering COVID-19 vaccines. The legislation mandates that an additional $46 billion be used to fund testing and tracing of the virus, which is very, very crucial if you want to um, contain the virus, hopefully defeating the virus. Housing assistance, $21.5 billion for emergency rental assistance, and $5 billion set aside for emergency housing vouchers for those who are experiencing homelessness or who are survivors of domestic violence or victims of human trafficking. Um, Such good stuff that's in this bill. Additional An additional $4.5 billion has been set aside for the low income home energy assistance program, which aids families with home heating and cooling costs. So that's just some of the stuff that I'm aware of. I'm pretty sure it's more. I mean, it's a $1.9 trillion package. So I'm sure I'm missing numerous amounts of provisions that were in this bill. But again, I think that again, this bill mainly seems to help low income and middle class people who need the resources more than they're wealthy. I mean, it's just that simple. And I'm so glad that this bill finally got passed. To me, it should have been passed earlier, but President Biden wanted to see if he can get some kind of bipartisanship with the Republicans. And I hope this 50-49 passage of the bill, one vote got this bill passed. I hope he knows that. I'm sure he knows that, no Republican voted for this bill in the Senate to pass. And so I think, again, a time for unity and bipartisanship should be more focused on delivering the needs of the American people and what they expect out of their government than looking for bipartisanship to the opposition party that doesn't seem to want it. That's the thing. They don't seem to want the bipartisanship. So therefore, the Democrats need to want to move on and go big, go bold, go progressive. We're going to take a quick break, guys. What you think? Do you think that the bill should be even more than $1.9 trillion? Do you think that the $15 minimum wage should have been in the bill? Because I sure do. But we're going to be right back, guys. We're going to have the vent forum after this, so stay tuned. Social media break up next. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This is the Vent Forum. Let's get right into it. Marianne Williamson said on Twitter, what if we just decided to do it all differently? What if we made the safety, health, education, and security of every person our bottom line, every public policy guided by it? The supreme irony is that our economy wouldn't fail. It would thrive. So would the earth, and so would we. So well put. I agree 100%. Shahid Buttar for Congress responded to Gravel Institute. Gravel Institute said, when GoFundMe is one of your country's largest healthcare providers, your country is broken. So true. Shahid responded, seriously, how could anything less than hashtag Medicare for all be adequate during a pandemic? Again, so true. I'm gonna read one more. Just scrolling down, guys, trying to see. Brooklyn Dad says on Twitter, where on earth is Rudy Giuliani? So true. Has anybody heard from Rudy? Because I know I sure haven't. I can't remember the last time I heard from Rudy. I don't know if it was when he was at that rally on what was it, on January 6th, speaking to like the people, the Trump supporters and all that, before the whole Capitol riot thing happened. I don't know if that was the last time or if it was a time where I seen him shortly after that had happened on Fox. But yeah, that's a great point. I haven't heard from Rudy Giuliani. Maybe something's going to come up to where we all get that answer. Hope you guys like the Vent Forum. Stay tuned to the next part of the show. We'll see you soon. Hey guys, we're back here on the show. So before we close out today's show, I wanted to give you guys a little bit more of some important information that I got out of this article from the Physical Times. So this was written by Yuval Rosenberg. I'm not going to read the entire article. I'll link the article in this episode so you guys can check it out if you like. But in this article, when I was reading it, Jeff Stein from the Washington Post highlighted the sea of change in thinking about debt and deficits. And before I read you guys the quote by Jeff Stein, it it really highlighted some stuff for me. And also I feel like I need to critique a little bit of uh Jeff Stein's comment to this, even though in its totality, it obviously makes sense. But just to give you just my thoughts on something real quick, keywords: debt and deficit. So isn't it funny that the only time we talk about how high the debt is or how high the deficit is when we seem to try to um, help low income and middle class people out just a little bit more. And to give you guys some examples, increase of the minimum wage from 7.25 to $15 an hour. I mean, it's the bare minimum, right? It's the bare minimum. I mean, if um I just the wage in this country has not went up in years, plural. It has not went up in years, in over 12 years. And every time something can structurally benefit, structurally change an average American's life or family, it's always a question of how you're going to pay for it, or what about the deficit? What about the debt? But it's never the conversation on the other side of the table, if you will. It's never this conversation concerning the wealthy paying their fair share of taxes. It's never a conversation of the wealthy getting tax cuts. I just it's always silence when it comes to that. You know, it's so many large corporations in this country that don't even pay their fair share of taxes. And you have some corporations that don't even pay taxes at all. And it's never a question about the debt and deficit then, but it just only seems to be a question when the American people want more from their government, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, that is why we elected you in that seat of power that you have, is to deliver the wishes to the American people. But we know that's not going on. At least it's not the majority of what's going on. The majority of what's going on is corruption, because you have, politicians catering more to their donors than they are their constituents. But I mean, if you ask a corrupt politicians, maybe their constituency is their donors. That's what it seems like. But that I just wanted to throw that out there to you guys. Like, what do you think about that? It's just, doesn't it seem like it's always a double standard when it comes to helping the average Joe American versus helping or benefiting the wealthier portion of this country? Um, I don't know. That's just my opinion of it. But let me go ahead and read you guys this quote from Jeff Stein from the Washington Post. They said, quote, on the right, congressional Republicans may still fret about higher deficits, but the most popular politician among their voters does not. As a candidate and as a president, Donald Trump blew past Republican concerns about the deficit, pushing for trillions in additional spending and tax cuts and running unprecedented peacetime debt levels. So again, when we're talking about helping the average American out, someone who has to work a 9 to 5 job to keep a roof over their heads or provide for their family, if we're talking about helping them in the slightest, it's always a question with how are you going to pay for this? What about the deficit? What about running up the national debt? But you know, as we sing for the longest, Republicans didn't have a damn problem with Trump prov- providing them tax cuts. I mean, never. They just didn't even speak of it. You wouldn't even thought that was a thing, you know? But obviously you hear them talking now because it's a lot of legislation hopefully being presented in the future other than which is a big deal, the $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan that has a bunch of provisions in it that helps a bunch of low-com and middle-com Americans out there. But it's only a problem, it seems like, on the other side when it helps people directly, like providing money to their bank accounts and not theirs. You know, I thought that was a very, very good point by Jeff. It goes on to say, quote, and on the left, Democratic lawmakers have increasingly learned to ignore fears about spending too much. Party leaders have said they suffered crippling political defeats in the 2010s precisely because they did not deliver enough meaningful economic relief under Obama. Huh, good point. A mistake that they see an opportunity to correct under Biden. Democrats also repeatedly tout the 2017 Republican tax cut, which is expected to add approximately $2 trillion to the national debt, as a reason to be skeptical of GOP concerns about fiscal restraint. So I pretty much agree everything Jeff said in his quote. Um, but I would like to add a little bit more if I could. You know, it is true that on the left, you know, some Democrat lawmakers, not Democratic lawmakers, some have learned to ignore the fears about national debt or spending too much money when it comes to the other side saying something about it, because we all know that when the other side is in power, they get to do what they want, how they want to do it. And it seems like the majority of Democrats have failed to realize that because they're still walking on eggshells when it comes to passing things that are progressive, by the way, but passing things that the American people want to get passed. And then 2022 will get here, and knock on wood, they lose the House or they lose the Senate next year to the Republicans because they're sitting up here walking on eggshells, looking for unity and looking for bipartisanship because they think it'll look better on paper, I guess. No, what's going to look better on paper is, or what's going to look better altogether is doing what the American people want you to do. If it shows substantially that the American people want you to cancel student loan debt, cancel student loan debt. If it shows that the American people in its totality wants you to raise the minimum wage to $15, then raise the federal minimum wage to $15. Not saying what they've been saying, which is the parliamentarian advises not to do this because of whatever reason. That's gonna have you to lose next year. That's gonna cost you seats. And again, I just feel like that the Democrats need to stop governing like it's the 1990s and start governing like it's the 21st century or or the 20th century. I mean, as they said, party leaders have said they suffered crippling political defeats in 2010s precisely because they did not deliver enough meaningful economic relief under Obama. So they obviously know their mistakes, but are they going to be able to deliver what they're saying? Are they going to be able to deliver this? Because we know it's a bunch of politicians on the Democratic side and on the Republican side that are corrupt politicians that are only in this to look out for themselves. Precisely their donors. So I thought that was a very, very enlightening quote that I read within that article. The whole article itself is pretty enlightening, but I'll leave it to you guys to determine that. Again, I will post this link with the episode so you guys can check it out yourselves. And what do you think? Do you think the Democratic Party needs to stop walking on eggshells and start actually working with the progressive caucus a little bit more than they have? Or should they continue to look for unity and bipartisanship to a opposition party that does not want to do the same in return? When we come back, guys, we're going to close out the show. That was fun. Hope you guys thought it was fun too. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, that's going to do it for today's show. I hope everyone enjoyed what they heard. We'll be back next Sunday, 4 p.m., same time. The daily shouts out go to you guys out there, the listeners. Couldn't do it without you. I really, really appreciate you guys tuning in every week to check me out. And sharing the podcast really, really does go a long way as well. Thank you for doing that. I really, really have special listeners because I feel like the people who listen to this podcast see the bigger picture. And not saying that I have all the answers and that I know everything, because I don't. But I have a passion to care about people who I don't know, and I think my listeners do as well. I hope that's where the generations after me Team Millennial. I don't know if that's a thing I should be making a hashtag out of, but yeah, I hope that the generations after me are going to be more caring and loving towards one another. Not saying that we aren't now, but it's a lot of stuff that it's a lot of stuff out there that people shouldn't be subjected to, meaning that people shouldn't be subjected to worrying about how they're going to feed their families and how they're going to continue to keep a roof over their head, or how are they going to further their education if they want to, or just so many things that I can't even name right off. But I know that you, the listeners out there, have the same type of fire that I have, and I know that we're going to continue to keep spreading the word, keep talking what we keep explaining and to people the things that they're being deprived of, because you out there, the American people, are being deprived of certain things that should be a right and not a privilege. Healthcare, housing, food, money, just all sorts of things. But I really, really do appreciate you guys. So the shout out goes to the listeners as always. Again, guys, you can catch me every Sunday at 4 p.m. Until then, keep spreading the positivity. Stay positive, stay progressive, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.